Today I want to talk to you about Bitcoin being a currency or a commodity or maybe just a store of value in some way. There's a lot of debate on this, and many of the message boards online have stated explicitly that it is not a currency. A lot of the people saying this have their own motivations, but a lot of it stems from not wanting it to be regulated. So they would be coming from an ideological argument. My argument today is that Bitcoin is and has always been a currency, not a commodity or a store of value. US regulators view it as a commodity, but clearly they just do this for tax purposes or to fool traders or maybe to delegitimize its true intention as a currency. Crypto traders tend to want regulation, and the reason why is to encourage big investors to put more money into it and make more profits on speculation. If you do a Google search, of course Google's very biased. They are definitely left-wing, hardcore left-wing, and they are very much supportive of the Federal Reserve and the US dollar. So that's why they're bringing up a lot of different results. When I clearly make a search for Bitcoin as a currency, not as a store of value, they still bring up the opposite. One of these, of course, is supporting exactly what I say here, but most of them say it's not a currency. So if you look at Wall Street Journal and the mainstream media such as them, normally Wall Street Journal's conservative, but they say it's not a currency, it's a commodity. And that's because the official stance of the US government, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, is that it is a commodity. That way they can tax it, but not admit that it is competing for space with the US dollar. The petrodollar, if you will. Now, look at some of the other popular websites, mainstream media such as Forbes. Bitcoin's an asset, not a currency. Look at what they give you in these search results. You'll even find Reddit, and there's a lot of debate here, but they're not going to give you an answer that says, yes, it's a currency, or yes, it's supposed to be a currency. You have to really delve into the research yourself and perhaps even read the white paper from Satoshi Nakamoto himself to find out it was intended to be a currency the entire time. Going to Google again, you can see their YouTube platform gives us these results. Is Bitcoin a currency? Well, some of them will give you speculation on how it's about to change. That was 8 months ago, and it has not changed, really. It's just gone down in value since then. Well, it spiked and then went down. But that's speculation, and that's kind of what the government wants right now. They don't want it to have a stable price. They want people to think Bitcoin isn't a currency. They want people to read Peter Schiff, a fairly intellectual financial manager. He says it's a digital risk asset, not a currency. And remember, Peter Schiff is conservative. I might even call him a libertarian in a way. Yet, even with that ideology, he doesn't see it as a currency. People are going to come out and tell you how it works. They're going to give you lots of cool pictures, some animations maybe. And in the end, they're going to say, it's not an investment, it's not a currency, it's something else. Here's the naked truth from ultra-liberal CNBC. In the end, we know that it's all going to go this way with the mainstream media, but things don't always go the mainstream media's way, as this last election has shown us. And lastly, you might even see some conspiracy theories such as this. If Bitcoin was a scam set up by the government to introduce a one world currency, oh no, the mark of the beast! Drat. It was not exactly what we were looking for. They make us think it was quite the opposite. But what we're seeing here is that the only intention of cryptocurrency in the first place was for it to be a currency. We want it to be regularly used for transactions. We want a stable price. We want efficiency when traveling abroad. But Bitcoin Core has been held back by a tiny block size. That's why there was the hard fork with Bitcoin Cash. And the side chains may be insecure, but that's a way that they're looking at trying to make it into a currency still. So if the side chains get hacked, that will completely delegitimize it. People will not see it as a currency at all or as secure. And yet, Bitcoin's never been hacked itself. The core blockchain is pretty much unhackable. When you see graphs like this showing how it can fluctuate, dozens of dollars in just a few hours, maybe more, then that really makes it dubious for businesses to use it, because they don't want to charge you, a 20th of a Bitcoin for a meal and then, or maybe for some groceries or something, and then by the end of the day, they actually give you a huge discount because it drops so fast. They're not going to jump on board. It's not going to it's not going to get any mainstream media adoption or mainstream adoption by businesses or merchants if it's dropping all the time. They want to get their money. On the way up, they probably won't mind because they'll profit on it, but what goes up must come down. So really, if we want it to be a currency, we want this line to be relatively flat. If you want it to be speculative and you want to be a day trader, you want it to be bouncing all around because those fluctuations are how day traders make money. If you're a bot, you like that too, and you basically bounce it around on your own. But if you look at some of these other people, Warren Buffett, famous investor, great guy, he says Bitcoin's not a currency. He's also said some other things that are somewhat difficult to really swallow, but most people follow him and most people believe him, and he is a level-headed guy, so it's hard to ignore him. Here's the thing, though. In the end, there's only room for one worldwide currency. The US dollar is currently the closest we have come, and it will remain that way as long as there are competing cryptos. Competitors are going to duke it out in the coming years between Ethereum, EOS, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and ultimately one crypto will come to dominate. The rest will fade into obscurity. The hard fork allowed this competition to begin once Bitcoin Cash increased its block size and actually became a possible legitimate contender for a currency. The Bitcoin Core guys doubled down and said, no, it's good to have high transaction fees and for it to take hours or days for these transactions to go through. Obviously, they don't want it to be a currency at all. The winner can only be the one that is used as a currency. That's right. In order for any of these things to survive, you simply must make it into a currency. A store of value is just never going to make it. I like how when you click one of these videos, the next suggested video shows a swastika behind it. It's almost as if YouTube is trying to delegitimize it by making it guilty by association. In the end, obviously, there's only going to be one winner in this crypto game. We're not going to have all 1,000 altcoins equally rise up and equally be used. Nobody can keep track of that many. Single moms at home with their kids just want to go to the store and buy something using a Visa card or their phone, and they want it to be easier to use than the Starbucks app. If it doesn't become that way, it's not going to get mass adopted. Now think about this. If you wanted to crush cryptos, if you wanted the USD to remain dominant, how would you accomplish that? You would crush all cryptos. You would crush foreign currencies. You'd make their values unstable, all of them, not just cryptocurrencies. That's what we see right here. The value is unstable. When it comes to foreign currencies that are government-based, fiat currencies, we see that there's a lot of political turmoil around the world. That's good for the US dollar because the US dollar becomes the bastion of stability whenever some third world country's currency starts to take a plummet. Now, another thing that you could do, much more sophisticated, would be a sophisticated attack such as injecting objectionable material into the blockchain. If you've been paying attention to the news, you know that there have been pictures of children uploaded into the blockchain. And even though you and I are not smart enough to figure out how to get that out of there, there are some hackers that are good enough to put a lot of effort in and take the code that's in the blockchain and turn it into a picture. Yes, because that's so much easier than just going to Tor for these creeps that are doing this stuff. But anyways, I digress. What they're doing is they're trying to paint cryptocurrencies as a joke, or the bastion of thieves who just try to rob you using ransomware, or a place for illegal pictures. It turns out Bitcoin itself and Bitcoin Cash are no longer used very commonly as a bastion of thieves. Instead, that's gone to Monero, or one of those privacy coins. That's what the creeps are using now. Another thing you could do is introduce conspiracy theories like we were looking at here. What the heck is this? New World Order currency? That's a way to keep mainstream Christians out of it, because once you start a rumor that this is the mark of the beast, wow, people are going to stay away from it. They'll say, look, it's unstable, it's the mark of the beast, it's used for criminals, it's used for child porn. Are you serious? I can't touch this as a good God-fearing Christian. And of course, many of the libertarians out there are religious, probably roughly around 50%, at least a few years ago it seemed like that. And those people are not going to jump on the bandwagon if they find it objectionable. So all the mainstream media has to do is paint it as an objectionable thing. Bill Gates or someone like that come out and say some things about it. Bill Gates is an extreme leftist, by the way. A lot of people don't know this, but his father was, Planned Parenthood's leader, and Planned Parenthood started out with an ideology that they needed to limit the birth rates of certain races. Don't trust my word for it. Look it up. And when he comes in here and says Bitcoin is better than currency, that really surprises me because I would think he's going to fight against it. So maybe there are some things that I don't see going on here. Maybe he honestly wants it to come about. Maybe he's got a better plan for it. Maybe he's really just trying to, I don't know, make the world a better place. Another thing we can do is make it a lot more user-friendly. I started out ideological when I came to the Bitcoin community, but I quickly dropped it because I had a wallet on my old phone that I accidentally uninstalled the wallet and I was never able to get my coins back. I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm a technical guy, so if I didn't know what I was doing, at that point I dropped it and said it'll never have mainstream adoption, because if I can't figure it out, a single mom with 2 kids at home is not going to be able to figure it out. That was true. But now things are starting to change. We're getting exchanges that are more secure. And even though people say, not your keys, not your coins, well, having them on exchange is still much more secure. I mean, look, one of the foremost experts in crypto security in the world would be someone like, say, John McAfee. And even he's lost thousands of dollars. He admits it. His wallets have disappeared. They've either been hacked or lost, or something happened where he lost money. So I've lost money, he's lost money. People don't like this. They're going to start making an environmental argument as well, that it's bad for the environment because so much electricity is being consumed. So there is a lot of pressure against it. And right now we are in the fledgling state. So it's going to make it or break it at this point. It does look like cryptocurrencies are going to make it. However, it depends on mainstream adoption. And if other people are abandoning it right now and walking away in droves because they've lost so much money due to their wallets being lost or just the exchanges going down in value, it's starting to look like they could really disappear. Maybe not disappear, but at least fade into obscurity. And that's actually kind of happening right now. 2018 is supposed to be the year that it really breaks out, but it could be the year that all of this falters because there's so much pressure against it. I don't know how it's going to work out. I think it's going to take a number of years for this decision to be made, and I really don't know if we're ever going to see it take the place of a Visa card in your pocket. But it does have a lot of usefulness for third world countries, and in a third world country where they're unbanked, I feel like it must happen. In fact, there's a good chance that cryptocurrencies could see mainstream adoption in third world countries first, and that is the way that it's probably going to play out, at least in my mind, in the near future.